And in London, the Nubian Jak Community Trust held a fundraising single release event in commemoration of the 2 million African and Caribbean soldiers who served in both world wars. I Have a Song by multi-award-winning Grammy-nominated Eric Robinson was chosen by Nubian Jak to bring public awareness and to raise funds for the installation of a 2.5-ton monument in Brixton. While the Vox News team were at the event, let's hear from some of the attendees.
Well, the song's called I Have a Song. It's a fundraising single to highlight the wonderful contributions African and Caribbean servicemen have made to Britain and Allied forces during World War I and World War II. It came about as a fundraising tool to pay for the installation of the very first African and Caribbean monument to recognise these wonderful brave men and brave women. The history of African and Caribbean servicemen and women have not been told. Whether this is a first step, I think is an important step. I think the steps have already been taken. I think it would be very conceited to say this is the first step. This is an important legacy because it highlights our common heritage, not just for African and Caribbean people, but for the wider community as a whole, because the story, as I said, has not been told. And in many respects, it's been 102 years since the start of World War I. Not many people know the very first shot in World War I fired by a British soldier was an African. This is 102 years later. And if people don't know that now, we have to change the game to make that sort of history and information known. So it's very important that all communities recognise this part of the puzzle, because this is not just Africans or Caribbeans that contributed to World War I or II. There was Poles, there was Asian subcontinents, there was Commonwealth people from Australia, there was the British, there was the Americans, there was the African Americans. You know, the African story is a very important part of that whole story, and that's why we're doing this.
It is important that it is highlighted as history, as a proud history of our people, how they gave their lives to shape the history of the world as it is today, to shape civilization as it is. Their contribution side by side with their brothers, white or any other color. So it is significant that we are known that we belong, we are one race and we are equal, and the integrity is the same.